So today we're going to talk about some insights that we received from SPAC, a little bit of some takeaways, along with doing a sort of a complete overview of Airstudio. A lot of you that I see on this call, I think, have seen the platform before. So I'm not going to dig in really deep. This is much more of an overview. And I'm going to spend the first little while talking much more about the whole system rather than digging into specific modules. So, um, first thing I want to chat about, I think we're probably good. People have stopped popping in for the most part, so I think we're good to get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter. I am the sales guy for Airstudio. For a lot of the names that I'm seeing pop up over here, I know I've met a lot of you before, and I've had demos with you. So thank you for your interest. Thanks for taking the time to come and listen to me ramble on today, because I do tend to talk a lot. But what I wanted to start with is SPAC. SPAC being, for those of you who don't know, was had in or just happened in Vegas a little while ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? And it's sort of one of the biggest conferences that we have in our industry, in the school and sports photography industry. So we were had a booth there. We had a demo suite, and there was an awful lot of people that were very interested in the Airstudio product, and wanted to share some of the things that we kind of heard loud and clear coming out of SPAC, and bring that back in as I walk through our platform. So um, really, there were some common pain points that Studio shared with us at SPAC. Number one was what I'd say is the operational chaos of disconnected tools. Most studios are finding that they are losing time, spending money on disconnected items where they've got their scheduling in one place, they've got their employee time tracking in another place, they've got their workflow in another, they've got their equipment somewhere else. And all of these are by themselves small little functional modules, but none of them really talk to each other, or uh, they're very much disconnected. And a lot of times where we're hearing people, well, they enter their schedule in one place, then they got to enter the same schedule in another place. Then they got to go back in and manually start a job and have a spreadsheet that shows various things. Basically, pretty much all the conversations said that there's too many tools and not enough connection. So that's really kind of the core message that I'd like to demonstrate for you today, is the advantage of Airstudio in the fact that Airstudio is not just another tool. It's actually a connectivity layer. It brings everything together. We've got one of the large e-commerce companies has already partnered with us. That's Got Photo. We're having discussions with both Captura and Photo Day about partnering with them, because everybody, I think, is seeing that there's a need in our industry for a studio management piece that talks to everything else. So with it being a connective layer, the other really critical part of it is the fact that this was not built by software developers getting instructions from someone else. This was built by a photography studio for a photography studio. The infancy of Airstudio began with a replacement of old legacy software for a large studio out of Chicago. And as it started to evolve, it became very clear very quickly that this was something that the industry needed. And what that's provided us as our system has grown from infancy to where it is today is the fact that we know what your pain points are. And even though I think every studio has their own subtle flavors all the way through, the base items of what you're trying to do are the same. The base connectivity that is needed is the same. And as we have expanded the features that are available in Airstudio, we've tried to make sure that the areas of customization are such that they allow you to use Airstudio within the workflows that you have, and allow you to manipulate it to serve the purposes that you're after. Because we know that although all studios aren't the same, they are still trying to do a similar product. We're trying to take great pictures for our subjects offer them for sale, and deliver them out. So all of those things combine to what we're trying to do. And some of our key items are with having only one platform so that all the data is shared all the way through. Uh, Fewer times that you need to hand off information, that always yields to fewer mistakes. I used to always have a catchphrase in my business that every time you had to hand off you had to communicate something to someone else, that was an opportunity to um, for something to go wrong because you had to explain it to people, and then that chance that explanation wouldn't be perceived correctly. Um, Fewer hands off, fewer mistakes, and better visibility at every level. We don't want there to be just a single path to be able to see anything. We want you to have multiple ways in which you can go through and understand where is this job at, who is scheduled for what's the progress, where is it going, and how do I communicate that both internally and externally. And the other thing I did want to do for many of you, I'm sure some of you are some of the ones we talked to, I also wanted to say a big thank you because you've all been very forthcoming with the things that can continue to enhance and evolve our Airstudio product to make it better for what you're looking for. And it's funny, even since SPAC, we've already started putting some of those things in line. If some of you are here that suggested this, we've got a messaging service that we are going to be launching probably in the next couple of weeks. The development is done. It's in quality control right now and being tested, but allowing you to send out messages through the platform to your employees, to your photographers out in the field, group messaging, back and forth communication, all in a very easy to use manner, and again in a manner that the communications stay within the job, within the organization that they're attached to, and everything along that line. So thank you very much for some of that feedback. So what we're going to talk about now as we move into sort of the guts of it is the platform connectivity. So I'm going to move into Airstudio right now and start walking through some of the ways that the connectivity of our system gives it the power that I think most of you are looking for. All right, let me share my screen and we'll be off to the races. All right, I'm hoping that everybody can see my screen right now. I can see that you can see my screen. We've got everybody here. Nobody's sending me no's or making any comments that they can't. So let's talk a little bit about platform connectivity because that really is the heart of Airstudio, is that everything comes together. Scheduling, staffing, equipment, communications, payroll, and reporting. All of that comes together in one platform and is connected. Let me back this off in a bit of a conceptual point for you. And let's talk a little bit about as I go through a couple of the different views that you have, let's talk about a booking on a photography schedule. So let's look here at, we've got seniors in the studio in Chicago on the 2nd of February. Oh, that job's already done. Looks like it goes from 10 till 12. Now let's just talk a little bit conceptually about that one little booking. That is far more than just a block of time on a calendar. That block of time on a calendar in a Google Calendar is just that. But as we sit here in Airstudio, it is so much more. If we go back to into the listing, you can start to see all the different components of it. So if we look, what do you have that's related to this booking? You've got the date that the booking is happening, the time that the booking is happening, all what you would expect on pretty much any scheduling software or scheduling system. Then you've got the name. What are you going to call it? And that already starts to, enter into some of the complexities of what things can be. Different studios have different things they like to use for naming. The naming comes back into what is important for your studio for whatever kind of workflows you have. So we've ensured that we allow that these names can be whatever you want it to be. Cedar Valley Boys Varsity Basketball, or it could be all initials. That's all totally up to you. The reason that that's so wide open is because the connectivity of The other things that I'm about to go into are hard linked at different components of the job itself. So we look here, we've talked about the simple things, the things that related to like a Google Calendar block of time. Now we start getting into some of the other things. Let me open one of these and let's go deep into the job form itself. So as we go in here, now we see, is this a bookable job? Is it a job where your end clients are going to be booking their specific time zone? Primarily, that's going to be done for seniors or for sports, but also if you're offering, family portraits or groups of portrait sessions or just a single portrait session. Those are all things that you can have as bookable items. With the bookable items, you can either send them a direct link for them to book their time. Are they going to be booking themselves? And if so, are there going to be notifications sent down? So this is where some of that connectivity, the scheduling, staffing, equipment, communications, payroll, and reporting come into play. We're talking about scheduling. Now we're talking about communication. Who are we communicating with? Are we communicating out to the end user that's coming in for their picture taken? Or are we connecting to the organization that you're shooting for? Cedar Valley School or Cedar Valley Boys Varsity Basketball. All of that is enabled. And again, it adds to that one connectivity level or that connectivity level all the way through. Where are you shooting? How many setups are you having? What's the max setups? What's the date? Start time, end time, as well as what kind of job is it? All studios have a number of different jobs that they offer. Each one of them will have different durations of time. Each one of them may have different options attached to it. So with Airstudio, we allow you all these things to be able to put in all these details and attach them. As you go through, now you get into the assignment of the organization. So now Cedar Valley School is where Cedar Valley Boys Basketball is. So now this job is attached to this organization. Now, if it's a bookable job, you might want to attach it to more than one. Instead of an organization, you might want to attach it to a group of subjects, in which case you also can add in different subject groups. If you're doing a senior session at your studio and offering availability for, 5, 10, 15 different schools all through the area. I've used it in my little studio up in Canada to offer sibling photos to all my schools at an outdoor location. That allows then that you can have all these different subjects book in. So now you have one job that's attached to multiple subject groups, which are attached to multiple organizations, but all of it comes back and flows to the proper space. So one change updates everywhere. You're not re-entering data. You're not conflicting with system. Everything is connected. And I'll follow down through this line as we dig deeper into it. Staffing is a huge part of this. Who's going to shoot the job? Here we've got Mr. David Lynn, our sports photographer, is going to shoot it. Maybe we need to do someone else. We can go into a senior portrait or a senior photographer. And as you assign which role you're going to have, only the photographers or staff that can perform that role are going to show up as available. Now, this leads to one of the things that we're working on right now that was a comment while we were at SPAC from a few different people. Although our system will show you conflicts by there's reports of who is unavailable and who's available. There's reports of which jobs still need to be assigned, because you can set up a job like this one and not assign anyone right away and just simply have it assigned for a sports photographer. And then as you get closer, you can assign it. But it did be brought up, we want to be able to see at a glance who's available and who's not. So we are adding in right now, and this should go live in the next couple of weeks, the ability to have work schedules reflect in the employee calendar. So that when you look at it, you can see, all right, David Lynn is not available today. And then you can filter it down to only ones that are available. Anything that we can do to help make your job of scheduling simpler. We can also show equipment. Equipment is something that as your company grows, and even whether you're a 1 or a 2 person operation or you're a 100 person operation, equipment is still always a challenge. So we've enabled you to have the ability to track your equipment and have your equipment either be allocated to a person. So if I jump over into equipment here, I can take a look and see that background kit number 1 or background kit number 5 is attached to who is this, Cassie, I think, or CR. Or I can have the equipment assigned to a job. Here you can see Pinecrest Groups requires camera bag number 1, and it's been assigned to CR. So again, back to that platform interconnectivity and why it matters. Scheduling, staffing, equipment, communication. Now, while we're sitting here talking about equipment and employees, I need to move over into payroll because all these things link back to payroll. And I know I'm jumping around, but I just wanted to demonstrate just how everything is all connected and everything is available to be seen through different access points within the system. So you saw how we went from the scheduling module straight over into equipment with one click, being able to see that connectivity of the same job. Payroll is very similar. The employees are right here. Everything is defined by role. There's specifics, there's contact information. And I don't know about you, but this one always made me laugh. Having run a studio, I think at the peak of my old studio, we had 30 people. And one of the things that I found most challenging was keeping an up-to-date list of contact information of everybody in the studio, of all the staff. It's like you had these pieces of paper rolling around that were never fully up to date. In this situation now, you've got an active list that can be shared both through the system as you're seeing it in the browser or through the phone app that has everybody's name and listing on there so that they can contact them directly. And because of the fact that this is now going to link out to your payroll system, now it becomes pretty critical that it's kept up to date. So you're more motivated. So I won't spend a huge amount of time on employees, aside from the fact you saw in the schedule where they're assigned. As we go in, you can see how they're assigned based on their role. So I go in, photography lead, here's all the different roles, all customized by you. As they go through their jobs, there's timesheets that are created. Those timesheets can then be exported and brought into your payroll system. Now, I will just in total transparency, we don't have a direct API integration with any of the payroll systems yet, but we do output into a CSV file that should be able to be imported into any of them. We're talked about QuickBooks being the one that we will probably integrate with the soonest, just simply because it's the one that seems to be used the most. But even as we sit today, going through the reports, you can export out exactly what you need, and you can put that, bring that into your system for paying. So back to that same scale: scheduling, staffing, equipment, communication, payroll, and reporting. 6, sorry, one finger too 2, 4, 6. Yep, that's 6. We've talked briefly about all the components of it. Now, the communication side of it is a very deep part of it when you get into the notifications. And this is where you start to get into some of the power that's available within Airstudio, because not only do you have the ability to send out notifications of any kind, both SMS and email, as well as I said, we're developing the internal communication system with internal texting or internal communication through the system. But you also have the ability to customize this both for an organization or for a job. And it's your choice whether that becomes something that you blanket through to every job and every organization, or you customize it for those few. So to circle back a little bit, I think you can see now how interconnectivity can reduce errors, because every time you have to hand something off, you take that chance of it being interpreted wrong. Every time you have to write a note to somebody that they then have to transcribe into something, that is an opportunity for a mistake to happen. And it's also an opportunity, it's a stop point in the process, wherein once the schedule is set, it's attached to the organization, it's attached to the subject groups if they are booking, It's then potentially attached to the equipment that's going to be necessary. It's also attached to the employees that are going to be conducting it, who then have their timesheets that are also connected to the jobs. And then after I'm done this part, we'll talk a little bit about the task management, about what happens before and after the job. But without a doubt, this is going to be a way to simplify and reduce errors. The training and onboarding, because everything is through that one interface, you have a much more powerful way of being able to teach everyone what they have to do in order to utilize the system and arrive at their school when they're supposed to. I didn't even mention that too. When you're booking your school, there's an automatic buffer zone of how long before the job is supposed to start that your staff is supposed to be there. There's a standard amount that you set for your studio environment. But in addition to that, if there's specific ones, I always use the example of I want my photographers there 90 minutes before, but I want my assistant there 30 minutes before. You can fine tune that as you're doing it. So again, less errors, less times that you have to enter things, less times that you have to communicate things. That scales down that administrative burden and also makes it simpler to explain. Once they understand how everything works, the flow of it becomes the critical item, not necessarily the features. So let me just add, before I go back into the ROI, which is what I'm going to talk about next, let's talk a little bit about the next step in it, which is tasks and task management. Every job, we've talked about that overview of a job, and a job being not just a date and a location, but a date, a location, a type of service, who's the service for, what subjects are doing it, how long is it going to last, what do I need for it, and how do I communicate it? Scheduling, staffing, equipment, communication, payroll, and reporting. But now I also get into what are the steps needed in order to take a job from beginning to end. And I'm not just talking about from when you shoot it to when you finish it. I'm talking about preparing for it all the way to completing it. Now, we live in an environment where you have your planning and your management software like Airstudio, which I'm showing you here, but you also end up having your e-commerce. And we've got a number, we all know the big guys that are out there, and there's new ones appearing quite regularly now. And they're the ones that are actually collecting the money for your job and allowing that to transact, go through to your lab or print yourselves. So we're working through an effort to continually integrate more of these providers with our system. Right now we're linked up with Got Photo. We've got a limited integration with Captura, and we're also talking to Photo Day at the same time. And all of which, our objective is to be able to have a fully seamless environment where what we have, let's use the Got Photo as an example, and what we used to have with Photo Merchant. With that, as you create a organization, so a school or a sports league or a client in Airstudio or in your e-commerce provider, that is then synchronized across both platforms immediately. Certain notes and whatever level of field management, that'll all travel back and forth. And by the way, for those of you who have custom production software, we do have open APIs. So if you're not working with one of the bigger providers and want to integrate with us, we're more than open to chatting about that. Again, saving time, that interconnectivity constantly will reduce errors and let you concentrate on what's important for you, which is, of course, delivering those wonderful photos, selling them, and making lots of money, and maybe spending some time on the beach in between seasons. But the task management allows you to pre-plan out all the items that are attached to a job, or attached to an organization, or attached to anything that you want it to be. I'll use a school picture day as an example. As we look through here, this particular one is attached to 15 different tasks. Request data, which occurs 30 days before the job. Then we're going to go down to create ID badges, also 30 days. It's assigned to a specific person. Here's all the detail. And as you attach that to a job, that's going to carry on through, and you can have notifications both when it's overdue. You can even share those files with your schools if you wish, so that they know where things are at. You can build this either as this one is done, where you have 15 separate tasks, or you can build it departmentally and have steps within the task. If we look at maybe this is not request data, but this is prep. And in the prep, we've got, X number of steps, and that allows notifications internally for when it's the next person's turn to do something, when something's ready for them, or when something has not gone according to plans, and you can see it right away. And again, just like I showed you with the schedule and with the organizations, the tasks that are in play can either be viewed through this large scale dashboard, which, depending on what your permissions are, you can see all, some, or just your tasks. As well, you can look at the organizations themselves, go in and see what tasks are needed for this school. Oh, this one doesn't have any. Of course not. That's why I picked it, right? You can also see it relating to the job that you're wondering about, saying, hey, how about this job? How about the seniors in studio? Is this all up to date? Is anything outstanding here? I can look, and if there were tasks that were outstanding, then I'd be able to see it. This particular one is complete. So again, that's just linking in a little bit more to how everything is interconnected. Now, for those of you who have seen demos that I or Scott or Angie have provided, there's an awful lot of depth that can be gone through. But the beauty of this costing, not only on time saving, reduction in payroll errors, missed shoots, clear contract profitability, and things along that lines, but it allows us to, as we continue to develop our reporting system, really know the true cost and profitability of a job. Everything is, I didn't even share the fact that there's a full school portal available in here, but we are working towards the idea of being able to go in and assign reports, AI-based reports that can say, how much did we make at Cedar Valley? Now, this part of the system is still under development, but it is AI chat-based input, allowing you to pull those things. So I'm going to sort of slow down here. There's other features that I haven't talked about. There's other things that are still in development, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about what's coming up next and what we're working on. Some of the key updates that we talked about, the messaging service is coming out very soon. The staff availability inside the calendar, a more visible way to see it than we had before. The mobile app, we've had Apple released for the last few months, but the next step is going to be releasing the Google one. It's in the Google store right now. We're just on the final stages of that along the way. As I said, the integrations are continuing. We've had post-SPAC meetings with both Captura and PhotoDay, and the Got Photo one is up and running already. And so we are excited, and we are also extremely grateful. The reception that we got at SPAC was massive. The amount of you that came and talked to us, either had demos, talked to us at the booth, and I think I've responded and reached out to pretty much everybody right now that has contacted us, but I know there might still be a few that haven't gotten anything yet, but we're working our way through, and we've got a large number of studios that are already starting to onboard with us. So we're very excited of what the future holds for us and where things are going next. As well, the more studios that we have on board, the better our system is going to be, because we're going to get more feedback. One of the other things that we're working on is a much more variable, how do you put it, setup availability. Let me give you an example. When you're booking a long time in the future into, say, next fall, you maybe don't know how many photographers you have yet, but you do have an idea of how many setups you're going to be able to offer each day. So the idea being that inside the organization, you can set how many photographers that job should entail. That also allows you to keep track of your costs, because if all of a sudden a 2-photographer job is being booked out as a 5-photographer job for no reason, now you've got something that can alert you on that. But the beauty of it is, with that added data, we will also add in the fact that we can have your days set out as to how many setups any given day you're going to have. So it really does give you an awful lot of flexibility and availability of easily seeing how to schedule. So some of the things that are, let me see, key updates, mobile app is coming through, the integrations, and we're just excited to be working with more and more of you. We're adding to our multi-team and our multi-location scenario. Right now, we already support teams where we've got studios in different areas, and we're adding to that where we're going to be able to, in short order, take an integrated client that can then support more than one e-commerce account within different teams. So that's what we're working on right now. And I just want to thank you all for how much you guys have embraced us, and also open up the floor if anyone has any questions. So thanks for your time, and let's see if anybody's got any questions. Elizabeth asks, how specifically does this work with Got Photo? I would be happy to answer that question, Elizabeth. I'm going to move to a Got Photo integrated one right now and give you a quick overview of that so you can see how that works. So we're now in a Got Photo one. Got Photo has connectivity between the organizations, which are contacts in Got Photo, with the jobs, which are subject groups in Airstudio, as well as with the orders. So let me show you how that works, Elizabeth. If I go in here to Cedar Valley High School, or Cedar Valley School, I can come in here and either create a new organization or a new contact. In this case, we'll use the school as an example. And once I create it, that will push automatically into Got Photo. And if you're never sure, you push the Got Photo link, and that takes me straight in. And you can see that there's different parts of the data are passed back and forth. It's a two-way street. Secondly, if I go into a subject group, which, as I said, is kind of a job in Got Photo, I can do the same thing. In here, I've got a link straight to the Got Photo subjects. So if I go in here, I can go straight to the subjects. And as well, the final one, without going into a full Got Photo demo, is I can also go into the job, and I can go into the orders that have been received for the job. There we go. So I'm going to say that one's done. Melissa, is there a way to keep templates for emails to send out to clients? Yes, and yes. Melissa asks, is there a way to keep templates for emails to send out to clients, and can those be used across multiple jobs like your job is scheduled for? Yes is the answer to that question. As you go into here and we go into the notifications can be the same for the whole platform, or you can customize them for specific organizations or specific subject groups. So in a scenario like this, let's talk about the job one. Let me just pick one. As you can see, we supply you with an awful lot. Job assignment. Long and short, let me just find something to show you. Here we go. Group session booked. Email enabled, SMS enabled. You've got an email template. We give you we create all these for you, but you can edit all of them. So that gives you an idea, Melissa. Be happy to talk to you more about it as we get further. Can you give a little more information on the Google Calendar integration? Curious to know if new events will be added, integrate, or if the event exists, it will also sync. So the Google Calendar is a push. It's not a push-pull, but yes, as you add new events, they will push. And yes, if you change the event, it'll push in. I'm not positive if it will fully integrate into the other or whether it will create another one. I'd have to check on that for you, Katie, but I'm happy to do that. The Google Calendar integration is fairly new. How long would it take for someone who's not tech savvy to learn the platform? We recommend coming into the platform and picking a path first. So let's say event scheduling is the first one, or task management is the first one. Under that premise, we say 1 to 2 weeks. We can have you up and running and utilizing it. Will you be an expert? Maybe not. But the first one always takes the longest because there's a lot of setup. Part of our onboarding service is getting the detail in from you. So the very first meeting is talking about the data that we need in order to facilitate what you're trying to do. And in doing so, what we will do is then import all that for you. There's interfaces to import your own data, but we find at the first setup point, it's very advantageous for us to import it for you and really help you with a full populated system. Some of those are even easier with some of the integrations, and we'll be excited to announce some of the other e-commerce company integrations as they come online. But yes, we'll help you through that. I hope that answered the question. Hey, Randy, how is Timestone XML file help with their integration? Randy, I got to pass that one down the line because we're actually in discussion with is it Dino over at Timestone. We've got two different elements. We've got one client who has development people on their staff, and he's certain that he can write a full link to Timestone. So we're working directly with him to see how that will come through. So I would have to talk to you more directly on what we can do with the Timestone XML files to help with the integration, but I'm sure that we can. Outlook calendar, hi Svetlana. Is Outlook calendar fully integrated with the push and pull? No, it is not. Now we can push the is it ICS invitations as we push things out, but right now it's just the Google Calendar, not the Outlook calendar. Sorry, we're working on that as well. This is from Katie, when new events are added to the calendar, does it automatically create a project task or is that done manually? Your choice, Katie. You can set it up automatically or you can do it manually. The manual part is very simple. I'll show you. And if I go in when I'm creating a job and I want to add a set of tasks, I can select the tasks right here, click it and go. But I can also set that to automatically be assigned. And during the onboarding, we can show you the pros and cons of doing it yourself, doing it automatically or doing it manually. So the only thing, just as a short little story on it, doing it manually does allow, if there are slight variations between your set of tasks and the tasks assigned to this job, because we all know as much as we try and automate, sometimes there's stuff that's different from job to job. It does allow you to have some flexibility on what you keep and what you don't keep. Hope that made sense. I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you guys. It looks like I've answered all the questions. I hope I've answered all the questions. Thank you very much for your time and your interest. We had over 50 people that have come to join this webinar today, which is a new record for us. We're very excited about it. And we look forward to working with hopefully everybody that's attended. And thanks again. Watch for my email tomorrow. And thanks again for your interest, everyone. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.